Good morning. So today I'm going to go over sort of the topology that I have in a notebook that I can't access to really. I can't edit it anymore anyways. I'm going to leave the link. It's my Adobe notebook. It basically has my thoughts on all of this and how it sort of goes together as a whole. So quick review. How the universe started in the first place, if it ever started, which I don't think it ever did, but if it had. The way it goes is initially there's anti-de Sitter space. Just neatly. Oop, there we go. Okay, anti-de Sitter space. Fully expansive. This going like this filled in, this pressing out this way, this pressing out this way. Everywhere there's this expansiveness, right? Space curves away from itself in every direction. But there is some perturbation. And as soon as you have a divergence, Maxwell's equation delta something, anyways, fact is, you have a divergence, you have a convergence. As soon as any energy was imparted here, this deviated these paths, deviated all paths. And in the end, all paths ended up looping back because every divergence has a convergence. And so every point, the entire surface of the universe, suddenly wanted to be in the same place. Okay, in a singular place. This is not possible. You cannot fit more than one thing in a place. Photons pass through each other. They share particles. The water particles aren't in the same place. The water is the medium. Okay, you cannot have more than one thing in a place. A point in space, 0.22. You can't have two 2's because they're the same thing, so therefore they're one thing. Okay, there's one point in space. So instead, what Ingenious Universe did was create not a point, but an infinitesimal. Slightly larger. Enough so that now you can have an infinite number of tangents, an infinite number of points on the surface of this infinitesimal. So now you can have all the paths, all the points you need to create a universe on the tiniest of things. This point here is a Planck unit. Okay? Now, you have a point. Let's blow it up a bit here. Interestingly, all the paths pass by, so this actually has incredible negative pressure within it. I apply Bernoulli's and other fluidic applications. Always is the way the universe works. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think those laws are just temporary. It's part of continuous space. So, all these vectors, infinite points. All these points can have different kinds of energy. Any vector related to, let's say you pick a point, this is U in the universe. Okay, so every path to U is either going clockwise or counterclockwise, all the points. And the way the universe oriented into a manifold because of the Kuromoto model and synchrony, so that every single point in the universe shares now. Now is true. Light takes time to propagate is the problem. Light doesn't move at infinite speed. It moves at the speed it moves. So here's our manifold. One entire, all of these are in a way the same particle. These are different points on the same particle. all the parts of the universe that perceive the spin as being clockwise are on this side. Wait, clockwise are on this side. Oh yeah, exactly, that's the point, right? Clockwise on this side of a layer. But this side, counterclockwise, spinning ball. This side perceives it as going clockwise. Matter, antimatter. And the beauty of this basically, the energy flowing in this direction, the direction we don't perceive because it's in plane with us, is the vacuum energy. Photons moving at 90 degrees to our usual perception of them so that we can't really detect them. An entire layer of basically lightness or speed spinning there. We are one side of the spinning ball. Antimatter is the other side of the spinning ball. When these balls get perturbed and go off axis, then suddenly you have, this was spinning this way, now all of a sudden you have an inflow, divergence. This is negative charge. 3 dimensions, 3 different axes of inflow become an electron. That inflow is an outflow from the antimatter dimension, thus balancing conservation of charge. Boop, right there. The universe doesn't need energy to run. It's all about the organization. This is that. They're equal. Frictionless space. This becomes an inflow compensatory. This is why for the electron, there's the proton. The proton is not just the inflow or lots of inflows, plus it has a mass unit, which I addressed in a previous video. The mass unit is essentially a photon trapped over its own gravity. Divergence, convergence, divergence, convergence, divergence, convergence, divergence, convergence. Okay. This has a little mass unit. This is essentially almost what neutrons are. Little mass units that sit there spinning in the vortex of this inflow caused by this outflow, convergence. This is why protons are the mass unit on this side of the universe, because on this side a convergence is the future. The future is heavier. Okay, the future is more massive. Gravity is lopsided. So here we have now, which is only 1 Planck time unit, 2 pi. Why electron half spin? I suspect because exactly that it's one divergence, and then on the other side a compensatory convergence. So it's like an electron on this side, and on the other side, the other half of the orbit is a positron, but internalized, so sort of the exposed surface to us is the electron, but the exposed surface on the antimatter universe that's happening simultaneously exactly is exactly the opposite. And recently, it occurred to me that how do you account for all the different energy states? And yet, let's say we have this, let's make this our Planck core. time. This has infinite states. If you consider one photon spinning over a mass unit, there's going to be a high point, highest energy point to that wave. And there's going to be a lowest energy point. Let's put lowest touching, highest not. It could be the reverse because you're closer to the energy. That's not the point right now. But realize between here and here, we now have all the possible energy states, and each of these is a ring. And each circle of this ring has infinite points on it. Or theoretically infinite points. Mathematically infinite points. So I think there's a limited number to the universe. But see, now we have infinite points of every possible energy state. There we go. Trapped on a plank of time. Our sense of scale is totally diluted. Of course, we have no sense of everything's a relative scale. Infinite points, infinite energy states, all trapped on one photon, essentially oscillating on itself in time, in space. I don't know if that made any sense at all. I think it did. See? Inflow to our side is an outflow from that side. Everything is exactly reversed. We are this plane, and this plane is the event horizon. The vacuum energy and the event horizon are the same thing. That's why it's black. It's because we can't see it, because all those photons are 90 degrees to their usual way. Below this, or in the comments section, comments thing, I'm going to include my notepad to my Adobe Notes, which I can't edit anymore because I have a crappy iPad that can't run Fresco, so therefore I can't access my files or something Adobe. Anyways, they tried to solve it, but I need to do things that I don't have the funding for right now. Anyways, let's edit that out later. Bye. Thoughts? Reply. These are just notions, but I'd love to formalize.